Alright, in the world of power sports, weight savings can make a huge difference, and today we're going to be dropping 5 pounds on Dad's Raptor 700 by replacing the battery with a lithium one. These are 2021 Raptor 700s, and my quad had a bad battery, but it was more my fault than the quad itself. But they do typically last only about 3 to 4 years. So, and then the fault for mine was I put a underglow kit on the quad, and it had a faulty system where it would just draw battery juice and randomly turn on. So I completely screwed my battery. So I stole Dad's battery. Since his is fully modified, we're going to put the lithium battery in his, and I just put a stock battery in mine. But I wanted to mention that I don't recommend replacing the battery right away, because they only last about 3 to 4 years, so you might as well use it up. But if you think you have a bad battery, another thing to check, and it's also Cuervo Racing, I'll put a link in the description below to his video, but he talks about this being a real common issue on the Raptor 700s is the starter relays. The connections on these are poor sometimes from the factory, and it'll basically, just when you go to start it, it'll just start clicking right away rather than turning the engine over. So this is definitely a thing to check, but I'll link the description to his video. He explains it really well. But definitely check this before going and replacing a battery that could be really good still. Alright, like I said, we're going to be putting the lithium battery in Dad's Raptor because he's got the big 3 and all the mods. But it's part of the fun. It's not the big deal that we lost a battery in mine because I just took his, and we're going to be putting the light one in here, so he's going to get an upgrade. But it's part of the fun and making stuff better. But yeah, you can see we got the Yoshi pipe, the power commander, and the Monster Flow intake. All right, and to give you an idea of what's needed to remove to get access to the battery easily, this is what it looks like from the factory. All right, and this is what we've removed to gain access to the battery and reinstall the new one. I did want to mention that you do want to clean the battery box well, because we'll be installing foam inside the battery box to get it to the right shape, since the lithium battery is smaller. And you do want to remove these bumpers on the bottom, and they just twist out. But let's go ahead and check out our new battery. Alright, so here's the stock battery next to our new lithium battery that we're going to be trying. We're trying out the Tusk. This is the first Tusk battery that we've tried. We usually always go with Shirai, but they were out of stock. And we've had really great luck with Shirai, and we're hoping we're having the same amount of luck with the Tusk, especially being that the Tusk is half the price of a Shirai battery and is very equivalent to what the stock battery cost, and that's less lead acid. They're both about $100. So we're going to be trying out the Tusk today, and hopefully we have good luck with it. Alright, now we're going to find out how much weight we actually lost. So we'll start with the stock battery. Stock battery weighs 7 pounds and 4.5 ounces. God, this thing is light. And the Tusk battery weighs 1 pound and 12.5 ounces. Alright, so that brings us to a total of 5.5 pounds. And the only disadvantage of a lithium battery is the shape. So since it is different shape, we're going to be installing these foam spacers. So we're going to go ahead and figure that out, and then we'll bring you back in to see what we came up with. Alright, so before I show how we did the foam, I wanted to kind of point this out, is the way the stock battery mounts. You have this bracket, and the rubber piece is all kind of one piece. And there's a rubber bumper here that pushes down on the stock battery to keep it in place. And with the way that this new lithium battery is set up, we wanted to push the battery towards the center of the quad. That way we had a more surface area on that rubber bumper when mounting this in the quad. So now I'll go ahead and show what we ended up with for the foam. So on the base, or the bottom, we have 3 layers of foam, and all the foam pieces were the same thickness. So the bottom layer is 3 layers of foam. towards the back of the quad, we have 2 layers of foam. Towards the outside of the quad, we have 1 layer of foam, and towards the front of the quad, we have 1 layer of foam. And we have no layers of foam on this side because we're trying to bring that battery towards the center of the quad as much as possible. All right, so we got the battery in, and it fits nice and snug, but one thing I wanted to mention, but on the end connector here, there's a tab that doesn't allow the ground cable to fit flush on the negative side of the battery. So instead of flattening that like we were going to do, the battery actually came with spacers. So we'll install the spacer and use the longer bolt, and that way we don't have to bend the connector. I was going to say, that definitely distorted the crap out of it. But we got the battery fully installed. And one thing I wanted to note was that it was pretty tight with the 3 layers underneath. So maybe try 2 layers before going to the 3rd layer, because it did put a little bit of pressure up top. But other than that, everything worked good. And the battery's snug as a bug. I'm ready to hit choking on the fumes. And then we're ready to hit Hatfield McCoys in a couple weeks. All right, well, that's about it for this video, but I appreciate you guys watching. I'll have a link in the description to the battery, and I'll also update, if we have any issues with the battery, I'll update the description below. But I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.